As most of you probably already know by now, California has just been getting annihilated by a record amount of winter storm after another storm. It's been making it just virtually impossible to get out to our mountains because they're all just covered with heaps and heaps of snow. So what do? Do we just huddle up inside and get fat eating Pop-Tarts all winter? Well, I know some of us do. But for those of you who are like us and have really big mountaineering goals for this upcoming climbing season, we absolutely have to keep training during these crazy winter months. So today, we wanted to share with you guys exactly how we train for our big mountaineering goals, even when the weather is awful and it's hard to get outside.
So probably the most important rule is to always be moving. I don't care how nasty the weather is, there's almost always some break in the rain that you can get outside and climb some big hills. It was pouring earlier today. We just waited for a break. This hill's about 4 minutes from our house. We love to come and climb it. But even more important than moving is moving with weight. The thing about mountaineering is you're always carrying a heavy pack. And so often when people train, they go out with either no pack or just a super light little day pack.
Now, I learned this lesson the hard way when we did one of our very first multi-day backpacking trips on the Ray Lakes Loop. Actually, at that time, I thought I was in really good shape. I was running 10 to 15 miles a day. The problem was I was doing none of that with a pack. So the second we got out on trail, I was dying. The pack exacerbated an old injury I had. Poor Adam at one point had to take my pack for a while. It was just a disaster. And it was on that trip that I learned, if you want to climb mountains with a pack, you must train with a pack.
If you're trying to mountaineer, you should be carrying as much weight as you're gonna be carrying on the mountain. Even when you take a walk to the beach, you should just walk around with weight. Go to the office with weight. Wherever. I have about a 30-pound vest here. Elise likes to do it with just the backpack, which I think is actually probably really smart. Yeah. But I feel a little silly running around with a backpack all the time.
I'm okay with it.
You look cute in anything, but I usually just go with the vest.
You can also, if the weather is really bad, I mean, another kind of awkward situation, but hey, if you want to get this done, go to your gym, put on your pack, put the treadmill on full incline, and just walk your butt off.
I personally hate treadmills, so I'll go out in the rain before I'll get on a treadmill.
Yeah. This is definitely some training dedication you got right here.
It is pouring. And so what I like to do is hill repeats. Still be close to my house. This hill is very close by. And go up and down this bad boy 15 or 20 times. That is a workout.
Now, there are different levels of weighted training. I generally just stick with the weighted hiking hill repeats, but if you're an alien like Adam, you might also opt for weighted hill sprints. Don't worry guys, he usually only has like 5 or 6 in him before he dies. These hill repeats really start getting tiring after a while. You know, one thing we would really advise doing is integrating core workouts either before or after your weighted training. Really, the key here is injury prevention. And when you put on that pack, if you have a weak core or a weak low back, that's going to create a ton of imbalances out on the trail as you're walking, which is just a recipe for some kind of injury. I think Adam and I both know that from experience. And so we make it a point to do core workouts at least 4 to 5 times a week. We do have a whole core training routine that's pretty much the perfect time. It'll take you like 10 to 15 minutes. You guys can check that out. But really think about doing that as many times per week as you can to prevent those injuries out on the trail.
Another thing we're big believers in when it comes to mountaineering is resilience training. It gets so cold and so brutal up on the tops of some of these mountains, and you do not want to be coming out of a warm climate and getting to the top of Shasta in 90-mile-an-hour winds.
No.
Because you'll just freak out. So we like to do things like cold plunging. We actually have a whole video on that. how and why that increases your resilience over time.
Yeah, and that's for those of us who live in milder climates during the winter. Obviously, if you live in the Midwest and you're just getting annihilated with snow there too, you can literally just walk outside.
Spend
some time out there.
Snowshoe around the neighborhood for an hour.
Don't huddle up by the fire. Take advantage of the fact that you live already in a cold environment.
Exactly. So it almost makes you look forward to crappy weather because it allows you to get exposure training. It's an opportunity.
Absolutely. Now, one of the other things we focus on is emergency preparedness. So literally just sit down and take the time to think about what types of emergency situations could you get yourself into while out on the mountain, and then think about, well, how would I respond to that? What would I do? And if you can, actually practice doing that. So if any of you guys saw our video a couple weeks ago, we actually did this. We wanted to know, what would we do if we were stranded outside on a mountaintop in the middle of winter in a really snowy environment? And our thought was, well, yeah, we just build a snow shelter. But it's one thing to say it, right? It's another thing to know we can do it. So we did actually spend the night in a snow shelter that we built. We learned what to do, what not to do. And now moving forward, if we ever got in that situation, we'd be much more prepared. And the last and final thing is working on your mountaineering skills and gear testing. And these kind of go hand in hand, right? Because if you want to work on your mountaineering skills, you need to know that your gear works and you know how to use it. So this can mean finding a little bit of snow that you have access to, not climbing a crazy big mountain, but just finding an area with snow where you could practice walking with your crampons, practice using your ice axe to self-arrest. It also could mean, you know, learning things like, well, what is your backpack fitting like? Can you fit all your gear in your pack? How heavy is it? It's also really important to make sure that all the gear you have to keep you warm will actually keep you warm. So go out somewhere cold, put on your gear, figure out, is this gonna work? A couple weekends ago when we slept in the snow shelter, we wanted to make sure, how long do our hot hands work? Do Adam's heated gloves actually stay heated? Turns out they don't. Those things died so fast, but it's good to know in a non-emergency situation. So basically, this idea is just making sure you got all your ducks in a row so that when you get out to the mountain, you're not trying any of this for the first time. So hopefully this will be helpful to those of you who, like us, have just been stuck inside with these crazy winter weather conditions. Probably the most insane winter weather of my lifetime, but as Adam always likes to tell me, every adverse event is always an opportunity. So just get out there, take advantage of these crazy winter conditions. And if we left anything out of today's video, definitely let us know, and we will see you guys next time, hopefully out on the trails.